In the Bible, Joshua took on the responsibility of of Moses' mission. Moses died. It was now Joshua's responsibility to complete that mission. God told him, I will not leave you, nor will I forsake you. I will be with you just like I was with Moses. I love that. I really embrace that. And, this, what I'm sharing with you is, it's a testimony. It's a testimony that's going to grow, that is not over yet. That's why I titled it, He is Not Done With Me Yet, meaning God is not done with me yet. I don't know when He's going to be done with me. I know that He's given me an opportunity to take advantage of opportunities on this earth, and an opportunity to serve first and foremost is what's really important to me, is what's really dear to my heart. Me being a Christian, me being a man of God, and realizing what He has done for me is really blown my mind. And what He continues to do for me, do with me, and do around me is really just blowing my mind. So I'm excited about this. I might cry a little bit. I might look a little angry at times. I might look a little upset, disappointed. I don't know. I might laugh. I might joke. I would say all of that's going to kind of get mixed in. Who knows where it's going to pop up, but it'll be there. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity to be able to share my life. Some that know me, I am an open book at times, but I do that because nothing to brag about. Nobody's special. I'm a son of God. I'm no different than y'all, and that's what I mean by special. I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. Money doesn't make me. Money doesn't make you. Material things, the blessings that you got at the time that you got them in your life, may not be the same time that I get them in my life, and also may not be the same kind of blessings. That's what makes us unique in our own right, in our own life, in our own way. We're not here to belittle anybody. We're not here to play king of the mountain. There's plenty of room at the top. You best believe there's plenty of room at the top. You just got to take advantage of what you see in front of you and use what was behind you as a little push, because we need that sometime. And then you got to surround yourself, with people that are in alignment with your beliefs. I'm not here in this testimony to tell you to follow Jesus, for you to get saved, for you to build a relationship with the Lord, for you to get baptized, for you to start getting into Bible study and going to church and giving tithe. Those are things that I do, and I'll share why I do them. And, so I'm not here to preach. I'm here to share. I'm here to shed light. We are all in a dark place at times. And that's life. It don't stay dark. It don't stay light. Like the sun goes up, sun must come down, right? Then the moon shines. You could be having the best time of your life in the nightlife, depending on what you do with your career and what floats your boat, So, yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a while. So it means a lot to me. I've moved out to Houston as of late, and I want to share that to you and why I believe I'm here. I thought I knew until I didn't know, until the Lord blew my mind and opened up a door for me. And then another door. I mean, I'm doing it now. Like I said, I'm very emotional. Um, wasn't always like this. And the reason why is I wasn't always who I was supposed to be. I wasn't always my true self. I was holding in a lot of anger, a lot of built up, mess stirred up inside that needed to be released. Had a gap in my heart. Had a missing pieces, man. I definitely had I definitely had some missing pieces for sure. Um, so yeah, like I said, I'm here to share with you. Some of you think a testimony is when it's coming from somebody, maybe that's the end of their life. I don't look at testimonies as like they stop. Like my testimony is gonna stop when I die. So I'm not like all of a sudden living this perfect life because I've already gone through some things. No, I'm gonna keep going through some things. That's life. We're gonna keep going through these things. They call it a roller coaster sometimes. Sometimes that thing's going like this and you're on that high, you're at the top of that mountain and then boom. I remember we used to go to this amusement park when I was a kid back home called Rocky Point. And there was one of those drops, one of those, they called it a free fall. Never liked that. Went on it one time when my stepdad got arrested. So, two times. He got me to go again. But the first time I was like, I'll never do this again. And then we did it one last time. And I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. I don't like free falling, skydiving, hanging on the sides of cliffs and swimming with sharks. I don't like stuff like that, like where I feel like I don't belong. I'll go knee deep, waist high, in Miami on the beach, things like that. But in the water. But other than that, I'm good. Even that's enough for me because you see sharks everywhere. Well, once in a while, but that's enough. Once is enough. So yeah, you find yourself in the valley, man. It's like you're doing good, life is great, money's coming in, family's good, kids are doing well in school, pets are happy, happy life, happy wife, bills are getting paid, money's coming in, no problem. Like I said, COVID comes. Bigger company comes into the neighborhood, has a better deal and opportunity for employees and for customers, for consumers, and now your business plummets, and now you're hurting for cash. Now you have to dip into that rainy weather, savings, 401ks, whatever, stocks and bonds, so it's life, man. We have to know how to adapt. My pastor had a great sermon the other day, a couple weeks ago, actually. He was talking about he was talking about a chameleon. And the thing with the chameleon, immediately I thought the color thing, right? It adapts to its, camouflage, it blends, it turns green, it turns red and yellow. And it's not that. That's not what he was referring to. He was referencing what their eyes do. Their eyes go in all these different directions, basically almost like a 360. They don't just look up and down sideways. Like their eyes can literally look to their tail, and so he was using that as an analogy to talk about opportunities, man. Things that we need to be on the lookout for, being aware, being ready, being flexible, being reliable. And, so like life happens, you can't just be good at one thing. You have to be a multitasker. You have to be multi-purpose. You have to have multiple tools in your belt, in your toolbox, whatever. You got to have the screwdriver. You got to have the flathead and the Phillips head. You can't just show up to the job with a flathead and be like, I don't have it. Well, you get half the job done. I'm going to give you half the pay. How would you like that? Well, matter of fact, let me get somebody that has everything. Has a vehicle or a work truck with everything in it. So, you got to be ready, man. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I haven't always, but with experience, wisdom, and the want, and the will, and the need, and the discipline, and the drive, I think I'm prepared, and I think I have positioned myself in a in a really good place to say, hey, something happens, man. I mean, I'm around some really good people, like great people, especially right now. I do have my immediate family, but I have some family in Houston right now, and I really feel planted, So I want to explain that. I'm going to talk about that. So let's start off at the beginning. So I took a couple, key pieces from my life, and I wanted to speak about that. So we're going to start off calling this the genesis, right? The genesis of my life. It's the beginning. Thank God Almighty, it's still going. It's going strong. And I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful for it all. And by the way, ladies, gentlemen, I'm not just speaking to men. Let me get that out there right now. This is not something that only men can relate to. This is something that everybody can relate to. And I'm doing this with my intention to share from my point of view, a man's point of view, a man's life, my perspective. But just like I can learn from a woman can learn from a man. That's what we do. This is the coming together, man. This is the church. We used to do this thing in church years ago. It was like the steeple or something like that. And look inside, you see all the people. Like, this is everybody, man. It's men and women, children, boys, girls. Like, we all come together. No matter the race, no matter the gender. So, you can relate to this, man. Anybody can relate to this. So, the genesis. I was born on a street called Studley Street. Studley Street back home in Massachusetts is 1 block long. I remember it like it was yesterday. I enjoyed it. I miss it. I remember it was short, but I remember some good times over there. Just a little bit, being teased a lot. I was really Studley Street, man. Yeah, I remember being teased a lot. It's probably where I get it from. From like my mom. My mom would tease me. My stepdad, God rest his soul, would tease me. My uncles on my mom's side would tease me, and it was fun. I would cry, but thick skin, soft heart, man. The era I grew up in, we built strong ones. And if you weren't strong, then you weren't necessarily weak, but you got something from that you benefited from. So I had a lot of good times, a lot of love in the house. Always had food in the house, always had clothes on our backs. I remember sharing, my brother's clothes at that time when he would outgrow them, a little older than me. And then, so Studley Street was short, but I remember the times. And then we moved to the projects for a short period of time. That's when my sister, who's a little bit younger than me, so my brother's a little bit older than me. My sister's a little bit younger than me. And, my sister was born around the time that we were living in the projects. Mom hated it. I love it. I love the projects. I love people. I love being around. I love having neighbors and friends all, around each other, Obviously, at some point, you got to grow, you got to move, you got to take off. The projects can only hold you for so long. When it's a family full of, all getting older, and we need our space. So that was a short period of time as well. And again, some good times in the projects, good experience. And, so my sister was born. I remember always getting along with her, and I used to tease her. I got teased. So what else was I gonna do? I remember teasing her. And at that point, we're getting older. We ended up moving. We moved from Studley, from the projects, which was Brickenwood. I did not mention that. We went from Brickenwood to a location on Cedar Street, which is in a different part of my neighborhood. And then we had some times over there. We had some good times. But one thing I do remember is around that time, and it is when the struggle started to kind of take place. Projects I was a little bit older. Then we're going to Cedar Street, And I remember living there, and things started to happen. My biological dad always tried to be around. I didn't want him around. He was actually gay. My mom left him when I was very young, probably 2, 3 years old or something like that, whenever she found out. And I had a problem with that, but I didn't know any better. I just knew something was different. So I battled with that. My dad was gay. He looked gay. He looked different. He didn't dress like other men dressed. He didn't talk the way other men talked or spoke. He didn't speak the way other men spoke. And I noticed the difference. Started to have an issue with that. Started to ask questions. It started to bother me. My friends would tease me that I was close with, but again, it's how we grew up at the time. I didn't, I'd be hurt and upset by it, but sometimes I would, it was my close friend, so it was like, "Oh, your dad talked funny," so whatever. I dealt with it, and so I wouldn't want to be around him anymore. He picked me up, kind of like pick me up around the corner. He dropped me off, like dropped me off down the street. Don't ever pick me up from school. Don't drive by my school, beeping the horn and waving. I acted like he didn't exist. Excuse me. I remember he'd buy toys for me. And remember this like it was yesterday. We lived on the second floor, and he'd buy toys for me, whatever the reason, the occasion, birthday, Christmas. And I'd throw the toys out. I'd throw them out the second floor window, watch them smash. I got some joy from that. And I was like, I don't want anything from him. He'd come pick me up. I'd tell him I'd go with him that weekend, and then I'd hide under the bed. My mom would tell him, "Hey, he doesn't want to go with you today." He'd be upset. I'd be happy. I'd be nervous and scared that he came. I'm like, I don't really want to go with him. It feels weird being around him. And then he'd leave. Did that a few times. He did that a handful of times. And then, then I remember a little bit later, we moved from another location, and this one was on Willis Street. We'd end up staying there for a long time. And that's when things, other things started to unfold. Like, we always knew something was going on with my stepdad. He battled addictions. Unfortunately, the family, his dad's side, had some alcoholism going on. It was also going on his mom's side. So he battled with addictions, always self-inflicting, never putting his hands on my mom, barely yelling at her. I mean, he had a big heart. He really did. I love him. I miss him. It was really a sad situation to see all of that in the years of it happening. Like, he disappeared for weeks, or a week or so, come back. We find out he'd just gone drinking, took off somewhere, drank all day, every day, and just battling those addictions. So we saw that a lot, and that caused a lot of, emotional, highs and lows, like would take place in the home. And it's like sometimes everything's good, where everybody's happy, joking, loving and caring, and having a great time, going out to eat together, going fishing together. I remember when I would get suspended. He might have got out of work early, or my mom needed him to stay home to keep an eye on me because my sister would be at school, my brother would be at school, and he'd take me off punishment. I'd be suspended home, and we'd take off and go fishing. Maybe crack a beer here and there. He'd buy me some beers, buy a beer, not some beers. I was little, give me a couple of sips, keep me calm, go fishing. And then, again, so like, mental illness is no joke. And I pray for y'all that have it. It's tough, man. I'm grateful. Thank the Lord I don't have it. I don't have any kind of mental illness. Thank God. And, it's tough. So, so now we're at this new location, this new home. A lot of good times, man. Christmas was great. Summer times were great. I mean, kids don't even realize what it is to have a summer like we had. They think something has to be there. You have to have some kind of you got to go to a water park or something. You have to go on vacation somewhere. You have to be, at the beach every day or weekend. Like, we did those things. Never went to Disney World. I didn't have to. I would never take anything back from my childhood. My mom gave it. That love goes a long way. Cookouts in the backyard, sprinklers, slippery slides you put out in the backyard. That stuff goes a long way. Always had a bike to ride. Once in a while we had, we find a friend or a family member that had a pool. We do that for one summer. Go to the beach on weekends. Uh, I went camping a few times in my younger days, and I won't take any of that back. I will not take any of that back. So yeah, that it was a lot of great times, a lot of great times. So I remember now, still on Willow Street. Some point in time, say around fifth grade, no, around sixth grade, went to my biological dad's house. He picked me up on weekends. I went with him sometimes. And this particular time, I believe it was on the weekend or the summer, depending, because he lived out of town, out of state. So I couldn't be there during the week because of school. And then I remember being sexually abused. Happened twice from him at his house. Something that finally coming to grips with and healing and actually moving forward. I don't cry about it often anymore, and it's probably because I stay heavily in prayer. I stay prayed up. I stay prayed up. It's not easy. I have my times. I have my moments, but I'm in a much better place now. But that happened around that time, and I know he was dying. He had the virus. He had HIV. Time would go by. Years would go by. I'm trying to forget about it. I'm not forgetting about it. I never confronted him about it. I didn't know how to. I knew it was going to come out. I knew it was going to come out, and maybe in a form of rage. That's what I believe. I believe it was going to come out in a form of rage and possibly violence. I didn't want to take that route, but I knew that's what was going to possibly or probably happen. So, yeah, it definitely happened. It's not easy. It's not easy to deal with. It's unfortunate. These things happen. And, because of that, I had an issue being around like gay people, like gay men. I always thought that if you were gay, you definitely are a child molester. And that's not the case. That was my experience in mine only. And, I can't say, yeah, you're gay, you're out there molesting children. But I'm sure it happens, but I don't think it's just the reason that I don't think they're all attracted to kids. They just have whatever they did with their life and their sexuality the way they do. But not because, it's not part of it. I don't think it's part of it. So because of that, it took me a while. I never had anger towards gay men. I just didn't deal with gay men, and I just kept my distance, whether it was at the gym, at a job. I'd always just kind of man, I'm not dealing with that guy. I'm not trying to be friends with that guy. I'm not trying to help him at the job or whatever it may be, maybe even a family member. So that was something that I dealt with. And I eventually moved on from it. It took me a long time. And I'll go back on that. But yeah. So now going into my teenage years, I'm still battling, the fact that I was molested. I'm not forgetting about it. I'm now 14, 15, 16, getting into trouble at school. I remember being suspended. How many times? I was suspended 62 times at a really good vocational school. And I'll never forget that. It was we laughed at it, but it was, it was a pure example of a young boy turned teenager that has gone through something and just kind of lost control in the school system. And they just wanted to push me out. They just wanted me out of there. So I went from one vocational school, which was a really good one. And I wish I could go back and do that over again. I wish I could have, not now. And, I ended up going to this other high school, which was a good high school, but I just lost the vocational portion. That school did not have that. So I went through that school. I was there for a while till I got kicked out because I kept getting suspended. I was always fighting. Then I'm just, dipping and dabbing in the streets, trying to make some money the wrong way. And once I got kicked out of high school, I was in the streets completely, like 100%. And time went by, still getting into trouble, going through the court system time and time again. While things are going on at home, there's already stress that had nothing to do with me, but I was just adding to it. Mom would, work 6 days a week. I remember that like it was yesterday. I used to laugh because she worked at a nursing home, and she also was a former hairdresser. So she would do things like, do like ladies' hair. My aunt being one of them. I love her. I miss her to death. An amazing woman. My auntie Helen passed away at 103. 103. Tea and toast every day of her life for the morning breakfast starter. So, it would smell like perm and everything in the house on Saturdays, and I didn't like it. I was like, man, it stinks. I could smell it. My mom like, yeah, it smells like money. So, my mom always kept the house together like most women do. Kept the house together, the backbone, the glue, the support system, making sure things are together, and just battling with my stepdad's addictions of wanting to take more of his prescription pills. And alcoholism was always in there. So along with him doing what he was doing, I was doing what I was doing. So just imagine the stress in the house. I'm not happy about that time of my life. That's why now I'm doing everything in my power to take full advantage of getting my mom into a happier life, better life free of things that she shouldn't have to worry about anymore. Bills, bad weather, a house that she deserves more, or a house that she does not deserve to live in, put it that way. So I remember, friction, because when my stepdad would be off with his imbalance, it would cause, issues in the house. And I remember one time, so it was on and on over years, not to get into every single detail and incident, but there was one last time, another thing that I dealt with, some guilt in this one, but there was one last time that we had a bad day and got to a fist fight, tussle a little bit, and I hit him. And then that was the last time I saw him. He went to his children's house from his first marriage, and it took his life. With some medication, the Xanax, the medication that they take for mental illness. That was a tough time for me, which added to what I've already gone through. At that point, that was in 2000. So at that point, I've already lost a handful of friends to the streets, murder, suicide, things like that. And then my stepdad, taking his life. So it's just piles up. You get to a point, like in your life, and people realize this, like you get numb to those things. When that happens so much, it's like the first time, it's like, wow. Second time, wow. Third time, like, I've been through this before. Fourth, fifth, sixth, it's like another one. You get used to it, right? You're at that same funeral home in the neighborhood. Everybody has that funeral home if you grew up in the city, right, you have that funeral home that you just have gone to, like you can't even count how many times you've gone there. And it's like, the owners, like they are family. And I'm like, I don't want to see you here. How much money have you made off my family and friends? It's crazy. So yeah, that was something that I dealt with. And, after he took his life, and now, shortly after that, I then moved out. My mom moved out. We all started to go our separate ways now. My brother was already gone. Then my sister took off, and then I took off. Then my mom was, down the street. So we all just kind of broke up, took off, went our own direction, same neighborhood, pretty much same city. And I just ran the streets, man. I ran the streets, ran wild. I mean, violent, violent acts, without a doubt, took place that I'm responsible for, along with the drug selling, along with trying to find myself. Had a woman in my life that fell in love with, that meant the world to me. Still does. But, we had our ups and downs. No longer. We got married way down the line, but that's we're no longer together. We're separated. We haven't been together for years. But I ruined that. I mean, basically, it's just me going through what I was going through and not addressing it, not knowing how to address it either, and causing so much damage and stress and pain in her life. So, I'm out in the streets doing my thing. Got a friend committed a murder. Before you know it, I'm getting pulled over. My house is getting raided. I had a gun in the house. Had some drugs on me. They didn't find that. Thank God, because we all know, if you're from the streets, so that combination of the drugs and the in the firearm is definitely a combination that you don't want to get caught with. So I remember getting caught with that. Now I'm on bail. I was still with my lady at the time. She stuck with me, very loyal, and I'm out on bail. And doing my thing, trying to stay out the way a little bit, trying to fight this case. It was, how the cases go. I mean, if you were in that life, it's like it's just like a long, drawn out process. Lawyer wants his money. End of the day, that's all it was. I tried to plead out several times, and toward the end, actually, because I was trying to beat it, and they got to the point where, okay, we're not going to beat this. Now it's just time to plead out. So I ended up pleading out. I got a few years for it, for the gun charge. But what happened was, I knew I was going in, and there was a situation that I got into that was based off of something older. So we had gotten to a situation with this guy, and I put my hands on him. I hit him one time. So he remembered that my friend stabbed him. The guy almost died. So time went by after that incident. My friend was basically nowhere to be found every time the guy was around, wasn't handling his business. And he ended up bumping into me one time and took advantage. He's like, if I can't find the guy that stabbed me, I'm gonna get what's next. I'm gonna get the next thing best to him, which is me. So it was a couple of days before Christmas. Pulled up on me. I don't know who it was. I didn't have my glasses on. It was nighttime. It was in the snow. I turned around. Somebody said, Josh. I turned around. I walked up to the car. I said, oops. Didn't know it was him. I turned to the side just in time, and he had a gun already pulled out and it shot me. Hit me in my hip. Wasn't my time to go. Thank God. He could have had me over here. I mean, if I didn't turn in time, fast enough, then I would have got hit in the stomach or something, or could have died from that. Maybe, who knows, paralyzed, whatever. Just, I'm just grateful, man. Just grateful that that's all that happened. So after that, go to the hospital, whatever, I'm still on bail. Ended up finally getting a date to go to prison, February 3rd. I want to say 2003, and actually went to court, limping. I tried to get stronger. I healed up pretty quick. Excuse me, knowing that I was going, but it's I wasn't fully healed. So I went to state prison for a few years. Got my GED. That was great. I tell you, the thing you got to do is, and this is something else that really, 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 really changed my life, was the mindset. I knew I was going to prison. I knew I wanted to benefit from going to prison, getting some kind of an education. I didn't have my GED at the time, and I knew that I did not want to go back. I was not the in and out type. I played with the fire, but I didn't do a lot of time throughout my life. I've done like a couple of months here and there. I think the first time I was in county jail was in '95. And, I dipped and dabbed, in and out courthouses, beating some couple little charges, getting, what do you call those? Probation, violating it, and then getting it reinstated. So, I dipped and dabbed in that area a little bit. Didn't really, it didn't get me too much, especially considering what I was getting away with. So, yeah, so I went to prison, got my GED, I became a Muslim. I was looking for structure. The Muslim community is very supportive in prison, and I saw a lot of that. And it was great. It was, a lot of support, prayer time, and yeah, it was great, man. The structure, I needed it. It helped me out a ton. And then I came home. My soon-to-be wife at that time waited for me. So grateful for that and for her. Came home with a nice support system. She set some things up as far as getting a place to live. I came home, like I said, doing everything I had to do to not go back. The recidivism rate is ridiculously high in the States, as we know, because these are correctional facilities, titled correctional facilities, but they're not. They send you home to fail. They don't send you home to succeed. So if you don't have something set up for yourself, support system, what are you going to do? You have an idea. Are you going right into some kind of school? Do you have money saved? All these different things and scenarios. I was grateful that I didn't have any children that depended on me when I came home. I just had a woman, but I had to get going. So I knew I was going to hit the bricks. That's what we call it, the streets, right? I knew I was going to hit the streets immediately, feet running. Like, let's go. I have business to take care of every single day. And this is how I know when you want it bad enough, you're going to get it. Every single day, I filled that at least 40 applications. There was not a door that I walked by without walking in and asking them, excuse me, you hiring? Can I fill out an application? I got a resume here, And so I did a lot of that, for that, until I got what I needed, until I got positioned, so I got a job. And then I'm looking at now, what am I going to do for a career after I found a job? Thought about a couple of different things. I actually thought about being a barber. That was something that I still like. I'm not coming on here now, so trying to save some money, and I like it cut a certain way. And I'm not back home. And then since I've been out here in Houston, I haven't found a barber that I'm too excited about. I don't like people making mistakes, and I don't like to just get whatever. I want to get my hair cut the way I want to get my hair cut. So never ended up becoming a barber. Time went by. Me and my ex-wife got separated first. We got married, then we separated, and then that's when I became a personal trainer. I went back home, which is the city was next to Boston, not too far where I grew up, in a town called New Bedford. Ended up becoming a personal. I did some pest control for a short period of time. Then I became a personal trainer because that's what I really wanted to do. Now I'm back in Boston. I'm doing my thing. Me and my wife aren't together anymore. We went back and forth for a while until we, I'll speak on that soon. But that has taken a toll on me too. This, dealing with a lot of guilt and selfishness, and just not being the man I should have been. So I ended up becoming a personal trainer. Loved it. I love helping people. It's something, I can make my own money when I want. I can make as much money as I want. Basically, don't have to deal with, taxes or the prices of gyms taking money from me. I can make my own money and save my own money. So I'm still battling. I was still a Muslim at the time, praying, fasting during Ramadan sometimes, and I just felt empty. The craziest thing is, I remember my cousin. My cousin lived in New York. There was a church called Hillsong. And I'm going through everything that I'm talking to you about back and forth with my ex-wife. Um, you know, Dealing with a lot of anger, dealing with a lot of emptiness in my heart. Like something was in there, man. Something was in there that that I just couldn't. I couldn't heal. I didn't know how to heal, and I needed that to be removed. Broken down and built back up, and I needed that gap to close. I needed something inside of there. There was a gap. It was a gap, and I was in search of truth, God, and love. In Islam, you're not taught to have a relationship with the Lord. And I remember my cousin, always talking about Jesus. I grew up around a lot of Christians in my neighborhood. Grew up around a lot of Muslims too, but it was always this thing about the Holy Spirit, man. There's always this thing about Jesus. Like when I was in prison, I remember having friends that got baptized. We used to call it the church behind the wall. And they were like, hey, Josh, man, I want you to come with me tomorrow. I'm going to get baptized tomorrow. I'm like, cool, man, I'll go by there. Absolutely. I'd sit in the back, just watching them, going in the water, coming out, getting baptized. And I was like, wow, man, they look like they're having a great time. They look like they really needed that. Like that was really like something that was a blessing to them. I'm like, what does that feel like? Wow, okay, whatever. I'll go about my day. Still a Muslim. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just here to support. So fast forward back to now with my cousin. He was telling me that Hillsong was gonna bring a church to Boston, and actually, let me rewind a little bit more. So I was still battling with a lot of anger and pain. I was molested, didn't tell anybody about it until I came home. I was 31 years old, and I told my brother. And the reason why I told my brother is just what I said in the beginning of this, is about me being an open book, because somebody was an open book for me. So me being an open book is what's going to help other people get through what they need to get through. That's what I'm doing this for, man. I'm doing this to reach somebody that's in the fire, to reach somebody that's in the dark place, to shed some light on a situation, even if it's just a little bit. Even if I can just crack that door, when you crack that door a little bit, you're like, yeah, I can see it's still daytime, man. I got to get some more sleep. So it's like, that's all I'm trying to do. I just want you to see a little bit. The Lord says the faith of a mustard seed, man, that's all we need to change your life. Just that little bit of faith, man. We just got to have that little bit of belief, a little bit of belief. Before you know it, your life changes. So, yeah, so my cousin was telling me Hillsong's going to bring a church to Boston. And I was like, it didn't happen yet, but it was happening. He planted a seed in my head. But here I go. Every time I see him, I'm asking him, hey, what's going on with the church, man? I thought they were bringing that to Boston. What's going on? Yeah. They're going, don't worry, man. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. And so he finally, one night he told me, and he was like, listen, man, I'm gonna come up there, because he's still living in New York. He said, I'm gonna come up there. We're gonna go to a church service, me, you, and my mom, my aunt. So I was like, cool. We went, and I was seeking the Lord, man. We went. So they called out, salvation at church at the end of service. I put my hands up. This always happens, though. put my hands up because I felt something. I felt something inside of me that just when I needed to feel something I wasn't feeling as a Muslim. And that was a game changer, man. After that, I was like, wow. Started serving at that church. Experienced that. I did security for the pastors and got baptized the following year because that happened at the beginning of the year in 2018. And I got baptized at MIT in the pool, about 30 of us, in August of 2018. Best time of my life, man. Best time of my life. So, fast forward a little bit more. It was time to remove the kufi for a relationship with the Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ. That was the game changer, man. That was the game changer. This is a feeling like no other. I mean, I could talk about that forever, man. The way I feel now, the way I treat people, the way I see things, the lens I'm looking through, the alignment of things that I believe in and what I want for my life, what I want to do with my life, how I want to serve, praying to be used on a daily basis, man. Being in prison ministry as of late has been a game changer again for me. So I'll tell you, yeah, it was special. It was a special time. And then, again, like I was mentioning before, like being a roller coaster, you're in these valleys, you're on these mountain highs, and then you're in these low valleys. It doesn't always stay like that. But what the good thing is, you always have a Lord, a God that you can lean into, that you have a relationship with. So when you're in your times of isolation, you're in your ISO times, you're in your solitude times of solitude are good sometimes. Other times, just you got to get away from that. You need community. You need to be in church. You need to be on the phone with people. You need to be around people that think the same way as you. Now, somebody that's going to keep you right where you're at or bring you even lower. And it's all about what you want, and we all deserve it. So you may not think you want it till you experience it. I've lived in dark times for a good portion of my life, and I thought that was gonna be me. Like, I'm just gonna stay right here. I don't deserve that. I'm never gonna get that. That's not even a possibility for me. All right, you're looking at pictures in magazines, and now it's more social media, but seeing people that with nice houses and cars and families, like, that's not about me. That's not for me. That's not the life that I'm supposed to live. And completely wrong. Completely wrong. We all deserve it. We all have the same 24. And it's now 2024. That 24 is a special number for this year. We have the same 24. What are you going to do with it? So I'm going to ask you that right now. What are you going to do with that 24? You're going to make it happen? You're going to let it go to waste. You let that next year go to waste. Somebody's dependent on you. Somebody needs you. Somebody's looking up to you for advice, for guidance, for support, for some kind of structure, and for a shoulder to lean on and cry on. We're all stuck in these different times in our life, but what it comes down to is just not being selfish, be intentional. What can you learn from somebody or about somebody? Be interested and not interesting, which is a big thing for me. So, being saved is special, so I'll tell you what I did. Now, I was training for a while in Boston, ended up leaving Boston, went to Florida for a while. And I'm skipping over actually something. Let me bring it back. I struggled with porn when I first came home from prison. Just get it out there. I struggled with porn when I first came home from prison, which, porn leads from one thing to another. How you treat women, how you look at women, how you treat your wife, your ex-wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, right? It really has an effect, way more than you would think, way more than you would think. And I prayed on this heavily for the longest time. No, not for the longest time. I've dealt with this for the longest time, and I recently started to pray on this heavily. And by the grace of God, we are doing well. We are doing great. But what helped me is me being like, I went to Fort Lauderdale after Orlando, living around there in Miami. I mean, women are naked all day. You can't put a single man around that's dealing with lust issues, thinking of women as just another woman to hook up with. Or what do I need to do to get in her pants? So that was something that I struggled with. So now I'm having fun. I'm in Miami, I'm training, meeting different women, hanging out with different women. I'm at the beach, going out, having a great time. But I needed to change. I needed to change because I was looking to strengthen my relationship with the Lord. And if I'm going to do that, I can't be that man running around doing these things and acting and thinking these certain ways that are sinful, that are disrespectful, that are harmful, and very, dog-like. So it's not who I want to be. It's not who I believe in. It's not what I believe in. I've always had respect for women. I don't call women the B word. I don't, like none of that. It doesn't make me a better person or a better man. And we all have our struggles, but this is mine. This is what I'm speaking on. We can always lay it all out. What are you dealing with? What are you battling with? So to sum it up, I'm no longer in Miami. I'm now in Houston. I get a phone call from this guy that I knew through this networking business. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, why don't you come out here, Josh? And come out here, man. Stay in my house for a while. I'll build you up to a good position in the business. And then, go from there." I said, "Sure. No kids, single. Why not?" I took off, came to Houston. Shortly after me going to his house, it just didn't work out. We weren't seeing eye to eye. There was miscommunication on how long I was going to be at his home. Before I knew it, his family was coming down to stay in his guest house. I needed to leave. Here I go. I'm out here like not knowing anybody in Houston, never been in Houston in my life. And I come out here and now all of a sudden I have to leave. So I realized that when I did Uber for a couple of weeks, and the job that I found was a sales job, great opportunity, that I wasn't here for the networking business. I was here for the Lord. And he stripped me from the beach, knowing that I had a struggle there with women and lusting and hookups after hookups. He stripped that from me, that lifestyle, and put me in Houston, knowing I was going to be looking for a church, knowing that he had a purpose for me, knowing that I was seeking a stronger relationship with him. So I come to Houston, I find a church, and here I am looking to stay here. I'm not going anywhere. I love Houston. I love my church. I love my people. The minute I got in my church, it was like instantaneous love and embracing and family, open arms. Like, come on, Josh, we're here for you. We love you. We want you here. We want to serve life. We want to do life with you. And I say that to say this, having faith is about taking chances. And it's risky. It gets scary. You get a little nerve-wracking. But when you have a relationship with God, and you truly have a relationship with God, and you've experienced what you've already experienced, like I could look back at my life and be like, wow, he took me from here and brought me here. He moved me to the left a little bit. He moved me to the right a little bit. I have friends doing life. I have friends that are dead. I've been shot. I mean, I've been around the mix. One thing I never had, thank God, was a drug habit. But I've seen friends and people and neighbors and family members fall apart from that stuff. Alcohol, drugs out, all that, losing their house, their marriage, their teeth, everything that they own, their job, all that. Health just plummet, just gone. And, so And I see people that live healthy that I grew up with. They don't know anything outside of where I grew up because maybe they didn't take the chance and they got comfortable and they don't want to. And that's for them. Let them do that. I knew that I wasn't happy where I was, so I moved. Then I was battling certain things. The Lord took me out of that area and then put me where I'm at now because he knows that he needs me and he knows that I've been praying on my hands and knees for the longest time. Please, God, use me. Please, God, use me. Use me as only you can. And you're the only one that I trust. I've been used long enough by the wrong people, and we don't trust people in that way or everybody in blindly. We trust the Lord blindly because we don't see him and we don't see faith. Faith is in the unknown, right? We trust we have faith in the unknown, which is God. We don't know what he's going to do with us and how he's going to use us, but we trust in him because we can't go wrong with that. You know, you trust in friends and families. They could screw up your money. Maybe they didn't do it on purpose. Maybe they did it by mistake. Maybe they meant well and things just didn't go right. It could be for whatever reason. And man, so I'm in Houston now, loving it. You know, serving, praying to be used on a high level. I will be serving on a high level. I'm in prison ministry, and I live by something that really stuck in my head and was on my heart a few months ago. And I said, I'm going to impact thousands of lives in prison walls and auditorium halls. It's going to happen. This is my year, 2024. I've been paving the way, right? I'm paving the way for someone else, but I've also been paving the way to set myself up for this year. I'm going to be buying a multi-unit. Praise the Lord. I'm out of bankruptcy. That just got approved through the court. Praise the Lord. You know, I'm in prison ministry. I just did a testimony in front of about 50 inmates. Praise the Lord. Love it. Had me crying. I love changing people, man. I love making an impact, making a difference. It's so fulfilling. So I say that to say this. I'm gonna sum this up. We all have a purpose. I don't know what yours is. It took me forever to figure out what mine was, and it came from digging, from praying, from connecting with people in churches, and trying to figure myself out. In the meantime, take chances, have faith. It's risky, it's scary, but worst thing, more than anything else, remaining dormant isn't about being scary or nervous. Remaining dormant, doing nothing, that, you know, just stagnating is dying slow, in my opinion. That's a slow death. You know, somebody needs you. Somebody's looking up to you. Somebody's looking to be inspired by you. Somebody is, it's a parent, it's a friend, it's a child, it's a neighbor, it's a stranger. It takes more energy to be angry and have animosity. Smile and tell somebody you love them, embrace them, and enjoy life, man. You know, life isn't meant to be miserable and live check to check, not serve out our purpose, not have fun while doing it, not be healthy. Love yourself first, believing in yourself also. Love the Lord, trust him, pray heavy, and listen and apply, right? We need to apply. My two things right now that I'm really focused on: patience, for one, and obedience. Be strong, be courageous, and be fearless. Everybody has leadership in them. I love y'all. Please share this. Please share this. Please share this. That's all I can ask you. Please share this. Somebody needs to hear me, just like I needed to hear them. Love y'all. God bless. And I'll see you soon.